Have you ever wondered, why is your kindness taken for granted? Why the harder you try, the more distant she becomes? Why are the bad boys, the ones who do not care, the ones she cannot stop thinking about? The answer is not that you are not good enough. It is that you are playing the wrong game, a game you do not even know exists. There is a system of unspoken rules in operation, a psychological technique of submission that has been forbidden. And today, that seal will be broken. Forget the worthless dating advice you have ever heard. Just be yourself. Treat her well. That advice is designed to make you fail. What you're about to see is not advice. It is a blueprint, a system of power psychology that modern society deliberately conceals. They hide it because it goes completely against the standard of the obedient good boy they want you to be. They want you to believe. The world teaches you that love comes from equality and compromise. But 500 years ago, one man saw through that lie. Niccolo Machiavelli. He was a master student of human nature, and he did not flinch at what he saw. He knew a brutal truth, an immutable law of the species. Human nature does not follow love. It kneels before power. And so, a warning must be issued. This is not entertainment. This is not content to be watched for fun. The knowledge you are about to receive will permanently change the lens through which you see the world. It is a key to a one-way door. And once it is inserted into the lock, you can never return to the naive life you had before. It is not a gift, it is a burden of responsibility placed upon the shoulders of its user. Make sure you are strong enough to carry it. This system is built on 8 iron pillars. We will decode each pillar one by one. From the technique of sowing division within her own mind, to how to transform yourself into an irreplaceable symbol of power. And make sure you stay until the end. Make sure you witness the 8th pillar, recalibrating the emotional compass, because that is the most permanent technique. The indelible mark. Now, let us begin. Pillar 1. Sowing the seeds of division. How do you conquer a mind without having to fight? How do you take a fortress without firing a single shot? The answer lies in an ancient law of power. Do not attack the fortress walls. Destabilize its foundation. This is the tactic of divide and conquer, but not by creating division between you and her. The mistake of amateurs is to create direct conflict. The one who holds real power creates division within her very self. You will never argue. You will never confront. You just need to ask a calm question. Plant a tiny seed of doubt in the garden of her perception. Picture this. She confidently tells you, I am completely in control of my emotions. Most men would nod in agreement, or worse, argue pointlessly. But you just offer a slight smile. A non-judgmental smile, but one that holds a deep understanding. And you say, in a calm tone, do you really think so? How interesting. Then silence. That silence is more powerful than 1,000 words, because that act has just triggered a powerful psychological mechanism called cognitive dissonance. Her firm belief, A, I control my emotions, has just directly conflicted with this possibility you subtly suggested. B, perhaps not. The human brain hates contradiction. It falls into a state of discomfort, an internal tension. And it is forced to find a resolution. It will question itself. What did he mean by that? Why do I feel so insecure over a single sentence? Your goal is clear, to turn her mind from a solid fortress into a chaotic internal battlefield. And when she is no longer sure of herself, when the ground beneath her feet begins to tremble, she will instinctively seek a solid anchor. She will seek certainty from you. And once her mind is a battlefield, it will need a general. But to be a general, you have to look like one. That brings us to the 2nd pillar. Pillar 2, manufacturing the idol. Machiavelli said one of the coldest and most accurate things about power. You do not have to be good. You just need to appear good. Most people ignore this truth because it is too ruthless. Attraction is not a moral test. It is an emotional reaction. It is not logical. Women do not pull out a checklist to verify your qualities. They feel you. This is where you fully exploit the halo effect, a cognitive bias proven by science. The principle is simple. When you demonstrate one undeniably strong positive trait, like absolute calmness under pressure. The other person's brain will automatically assign you a host of other good qualities. Intelligent, trustworthy, successful. You do not have to prove those things. They will do that work for you. They will convince themselves. So how do you practice this? Control your body language. Control your tone of voice. Control your reactions. Even if inside you there is a screaming tempest. On the outside must be a solid, impenetrable fortress wall. And create mystery. This is a fatal mistake of nice guys. They reveal everything. They explain everything. But you only show her 80% of who you are. The other 20%, let it remain in the shadows. Because that void will be filled by her imagination. And a woman's imagination will always paint a version of you. Grander, more complex, and more powerful than reality itself. But an image is static. It needs movement. It needs to become addictive. To do that, you must weaponize her very biology. That is the third pillar. Pillar 3, conditioning the response. Machiavelli once again gives us a map. Injuries should be inflicted all at once. Benefits should be bestowed gradually. This principle is not just for kings and rulers in politics. It is the map for controlling emotions in relationships. Let us talk about how to punish. This is not yelling, not violence. That is the action of the weak. When your boundaries are crossed, when disrespect appears, your action must be one, cold and decisive. Silence. Create distance. Withdraw your presence completely. Not a single word of argument. Not a single word of explanation. The sudden emptiness you leave behind is the punishment. It is more powerful than any rage. Now, let us talk about how to reward. When she complies, when she shows warmth and respect, you will give a reward, but in drips. And unpredictably, a rare, sincere compliment, a deep gaze that lingers a little longer, sudden attention when she least expects it. What are you doing here? You are activating a mechanism in her brain called intermittent reinforcement. Receiving a reward randomly releases dopamine far more powerfully than predictable rewards. It is highly addictive. Essentially, you are training her nervous system. You are turning the act of seeking your approval into an obsession, like a gambler who cannot leave the slot machine. Becoming the source of her dopamine will grant you immense power, but to truly hold that power, you must completely invert the law of validation. That is the fourth pillar. Pillar 4, inverting the polarity of validation. Ask yourself a question. Does your praise generally have value? Or is it cheap, worthless? Like the words of countless others out there, most men make the same fatal mistake. They praise too quickly, too often. You are so beautiful, you are so perfect. Those compliments carry no weight. Women hear them all day, from strangers, from social media. They have become immune to it. Normal compliments place you in the position of a beggar, one who is pleading for approval. But there is something stronger, disapproval, not anger, not cruelty, but a subtle, controlled, and silent disapproval. Watch how a Machiavellian man completely flips the script. He does not chase her beauty. He does not beg for her attention. But the moment she does something disrespectful, or acts mediocre, he does not argue. He does not insult, he just says, with a cold stillness, "I expected more from you." Then silence. No further explanation, no raising of the voice, just a pause, and a look that says it all. This action creates a seismic shift inside her mind, because now, she's no longer thinking, how do I keep him interested? She is thinking, why did I disappoint him? She is no longer chasing your affection, she is chasing your respect. And that is a much more powerful position. Why? Because affection is easy to find, but respect must be earned. And it's rare. The moment a woman feels she has lost your respect, something primal inside her will awaken. Her behavior begins to self-correct to your standard. This is not manipulation. This is the foundation of voluntary submission. When she is in a state of seeking your validation, there is a way to amplify that obsession tenfold by breaking the most basic law of presence. That is the fifth pillar. Pillar 5. Control through absence. Remember this law. Constant presence diminishes value. Sudden absence creates power. Humans are creatures of habit. Your presence, your attention, your texts, they form a pattern, a routine in her life, and routine is always taken for granted. You must break the pattern, vanish, without a word of warning, without a word of explanation. This action creates a psychological void, an unnameable anxiety. And her brain, to fill that void, will work overtime. It will spin with thoughts of you. Is he angry? What line did I cross? Is he really gone? Your absence forces her imagination to fill the silence, and what the imagination creates is always more powerful than reality. When do you use this technique? Only when your presence is being taken for granted, only when the power dynamic of the game is leaning too heavily in her favor. At that moment, you disappear. No drama, just silence. You are no longer a man, you become a question, an unsolved puzzle, an obsession. This obsession does not come from love. It stems from a much more primal emotion. An emotion that modern society tries to deny and call toxic. That is the sixth pillar. Pillar 6, the nature of power. It is much safer to be feared than to be loved. Why is this statement by Machiavelli so frighteningly true? Because most people misunderstand fear. This is not physical fear, it is not threats, yelling, or cruelty. That is the action of the weak, and it only inspires disgust. This is existential fear. It is the fear of losing someone of very high, irreplaceable value. It is the simmering fear that one is not good enough to be worthy of the standards of a man like you. Where does the source of this power come from? It comes from your willingness to walk away if your standards are violated. It comes from showing her that your love, your presence, is a privilege, not a right. Love can fade, emotions can change, but this existential fear, the fear of losing something precious, it creates a primal drive, a psychological gravity that compels her to comply, to strive to keep you around, to maintain this existential fear effectively. You cannot be just one force, you must be two. That is the seventh pillar. Pillar 7, becoming the lion and the fox. Understand this. Every woman you meet will test you, not to destroy you, not because she is malicious, but to reveal your nature. Deep down, she needs to know the answers to these questions. Is this man strong enough to handle me? Can he remain solid when I am chaotic? Can he keep his cool when I rage? And so, she will test you. Not with words, but with emotion. She will suddenly become distant just to see if you will chase. She will challenge your opinion just to feel the fire within you. She will change her tone, withdraw affection, act cold, because she's not just listening to what you say, she is seeing what can make you break, and most men fail this test. They think it's just a mood swing, but Machiavelli saw its true nature, a test of your core. He wrote that every powerful man must embody two animals, the lion and the fox. The lion represents strength, presence, unshakable authority. The fox represents cunning, patience, shrewd calculation. You need both, because if you are only the lion, always strong, bold, dominant, you become predictable, easy to provoke. She will learn how to anger you, and when she does, your image will crumble. The mystery will die. You lose. But if you are only the fox, always slick, clever, detached, she may admire your calm, but she will not feel your fire. She will feel you lack decisiveness, and women never trust what feels empty. The balance is power. When your boundaries are crossed, be the lion. Still, solid, not overreacting, not loud, just impenetrable. You do not justify, you do not threaten. You enforce your limits with your silence and your presence. But when she is emotional, unpredictable, or dramatic, be the fox. Withdraw your energy, say less, let her dance in her own storm, while you observe from a higher position. Your silence becomes a mirror, your restraint becomes control, and this is the secret she will never tell you. She is attracted to what she cannot control. She craves the tension of not knowing who you will be in the next moment, but always knowing that every version of you holds power. And when you have mastered all of these pillars, you are ready for the final step, the move that will etch your name into her mind forever. The final pillar, the 8th pillar. Pillar 8, becoming the turning point. Do you want to be a fleeting memory, or an indelible turning point? A memory will fade, but a turning point changes everything forever. Your ultimate goal is not to be a man she once dated. Your goal is to be the one who recalibrated her emotional compass. You are the moment when her entire logic of emotion is broken and reshaped. To achieve this kind of impact, the method is not in looks or charm. It lies in you challenging the core beliefs she clings to for safety. It lies in you seeing the cracks in her mask that no one else, not even she, has noticed. And you do all of this without needing validation. No boasting, no neediness, no performance. After you, other men will become bland and predictable. You are no longer a memory. You have become the standard, a standard against which all others will be compared and found wanting. And here is the permanent consequence. Forgetting Yu Shumai would mean she has to forget the stronger version of herself you helped her realize. It is a psychological imprint. It does not beg to be remembered. It simply exists. And that is the 8 pillars of the system, a system of knowledge so powerful that it was once buried and deemed forbidden. Its ultimate goal is not manipulation. Manipulation is the game of the mediocre. Its goal is to build a presence so powerful that submission becomes a natural and voluntary choice for the other person. But remember the warning from the beginning of the video. This power comes with an immense moral responsibility. It is like a fire. It can warm. It can build a relationship based on deep and absolute respect. Or it can burn. It can destroy a person. This is precisely why this knowledge was forbidden. It is not for the weak. It is not for the undisciplined. Now burn this core truth into your mind. This entire journey was not to teach you how to get her. That is the goal of other men. You are learning how to build a reality where you never need her again. A reality where your existence is complete and sovereign. And in that absolute freedom, in that very lack of need, you will find her absolute submission.